We are live on DSTV, Go TV, and all digital television sets. This is News Desk. Consumers and the general public must brace for a hike in the prices of selected goods as the Excise Duty Amendment Act goes into effect today. The Income Tax Amendment Act does as well. These two taxes were passed by Parliament together with the Growth and Sustainability Act, despite fierce resistance from the minority in Parliament and industry. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante has the rest of the story.
The Excise Duty, Growth and Sustainability Levy and Income Tax Amendment Acts are going into effect today. The taxes were opposed by the minority in Parliament and industry players, but were passed anyway. In particular, the Excise Duty Amendment Act imposes a 20% tax on mineral water, non-alcoholic beer, energy drinks, fruit juices, and other non-alcoholic drinks. There will also be a 50% tax on spirits, including akweteshi, cigarettes, and e-smoking devices. The Income Tax Amendment Act provides that winnings from betting, lottery, and games of chances will also now be subject to a 10% withholding tax at the point of payout. Deputy Finance Minister Benosi Asare defended the tax measures.
What government is seeking to do is to make sure we put some percentage on sugary items like the fruit juice that contains sugar. That is what government seeks to do here. So government is also looking at protecting the health of its citizens.
Minority leader Dr. Kisela Tuforsin, who led his group's opposition, said the taxes will worsen the plight of the ordinary Ghanaian. Meanwhile, Guta says it will pass on the cost to consumers.
The business that we do not do in isolation. We do with the consuming public. So whatever affects the business community, the rippling effect goes to the consumer.
These taxes have been touted as key to revitalizing the economy.
The consumer certainly will be feeling the negative impact of these taxes. We'll be back to delve more into that. But let me take you to Bolga, because that's where this year's May Day celebration will be happening. And you can see there prayers are already being said. And much later, we will hear from dignitaries. The president has arrived there. And so we will be going back to hear what he has to say. Meanwhile, there are a lot of things happening around workers. We know the Clock Sack has been having a press conference right here in Accra where they've been talking about the pension funds. I'll be bringing you that story much later. But usually on Workers' Day, there are some major announcements made. If you may recall, last year, there were some major announcements made by the president during that celebration. We will take you back to Bolgatanga, but let's speak to Kofi Kapito, who is Executive Director of the Consumer Protection Agency. He joins us on the back of the new taxes that are taking effect today and what the impact is for you. Thank you so much, Mr. Kapito, for making time to join me this morning. Now, consumers will be paying more for bottled or mineral water, non-alcoholic drinks, among others. Now, let's look at the power that consumers have, especially in fighting against some of these things, because the criticism has been that the fight came in a little too late after Parliament had passed the bills.
Let me say good morning and a happy Labor Day to all Ghanaians workers, and a special one to you. Yes, I do agree with the people who are saying that the fight came in too late. Look, if anybody is to be blamed for this new taxes, I find it difficult when people try to make it like as the president or the government. But the question is the parliamentarians. Because no president or no government can have a bill passed if it's not supported or approved by members of parliament. So this thing that we do to ourselves and allow parliamentarians to feel they are not to be blamed, I think time has come. Hold your parliamentarian responsible. In the best practice of democracy, it is not about the interest of your party, but rather the interest of the people who voted for you to go to parliament. But it is in the reverse in Ghana, where parliamentarians will pass a bill and pretend they are not to be held accountable.
I get the picture you're trying to paint here. So we know what it's an almost hung parliament, but I do understand your concern is that these parliamentarians may be more interested in rubber stamping a certain policy of their government instead of seeking to do what the people want. But let's flip it a bit. We know the times that we are in, right? We are being told that these are hard times. Government has admitted. The experts say we could have gone to the IMF a little earlier, or we could have prevented ourselves from getting to this point. But our reality is we're already here. Now, government must show the IMF or prove to the IMF that it can or has the capacity to raise a certain level of revenue. Now, one of the ways government is doing this is to introduce these new taxes. It's almost as if it's a do or die affair. Let's flip it a bit and look at how we can support in achieving or realizing that that goal by government so as to lift the country beyond this state that we find ourselves in. The responsibility of the consumer.
Of the consumer is to make sure that his taxes are used very, very.
Hello, Mr. Capito. Too bad his feed froze. That was the Executive Director of the Consumer Protection Agency, Kofi Capito. He was just about sharing his thoughts. So I just got the first line where he said the responsibility of the consumer is to make sure their taxes are used. And then we lost him there, sadly. My team will try to work it out. Hopefully we can get him to share his thoughts on the responsibility of the consumer in ensuring that we also do what is expected of us in terms of revenue mobilization, the paying of taxes, and general development. I'm told we have Kofi Capito. Thank you so much for holding on, Mr. Capito. We lost you there, but you were just saying that the responsibility of the consumer is to ensure that their taxes are used.
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Capito. Yes, I was just saying that we got the first line of your response.
What I'm saying is, look, we live in a country, right, where government goes and borrows money from international markets. And the government brings it back instead of putting it into a better use for the money to generate returns so that they can pay the monies that they borrow back. We put it in the social interventions, places that we cannot even collect or make revenue out of it. Look, what I'm saying is the consumer in Ghana today, it is at a stand that is very, very critical because we are being pushed all aspects. And if you push anybody against the wall and they hit the wall, they won't have anywhere to go but to come back at you. My issue is government should be responsible. That's the reason why we vote for a government. I don't expect government to make mistakes where it is clear that 90% of Ghanaians, apart from the government and his appointees, don't see that time has come for government to cut down on its expenditure. In any civilized economy, the first thing government does is to look at themselves and say, look, let me cut down first so that the rest of the people will support me. I'll give you an example. Look, in the United Kingdom, it got to a time that they wanted to increase the salaries of the prime minister and parliamentarians. Independent body is the one that reviews that salary arrangements. At that time, Parliament has passed the law to cut down on social amenities for the people of the United Kingdom. The independent body said that it is not going to increase salaries for the prime minister and his appointees. In Ghana, rather, they increase their salaries. Okay, they don't stop flying business class, buying land cruisers, living in government bungalows rent-free, electricity-free, water-free. So the question is, how do you pay the money back? And then you tell me the consumer who hasn't done anything. Look, now people's investment has been touched. Other things that were benefiting Ghanaians, we don't even have it anymore. But the government is afraid. And that's why I say that the government of Ghana, including the local governments, are very, 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 very much afraid because maybe they own the properties. Why can't we say we are going to do proper property valuation and tax properties well? In the country that properties are being sold, $5 million, $2 million, $1 million, $500,000, and the property rates on them is not even equivalent to even 1% of the value of the property.
Mr. Capito, are you suggesting that government's decision, I remember last year when the finance minister was in parliament, government's decision not to print out any diaries, no hampers, no government vehicles were to be seen moving around at certain times within Accra. If they were moving, they were supposed to go out of town, longer journeys. Are you saying all those measures, the list goes on and on, but are you saying that all those measures were not enough for you in terms of government cutting its own expenditure?
It would have been enough if it could have been implemented. It's a joke. I drive around Accra. I see the ministers. I see the appointees in the middle of the night driving the Land Cruisers in Accra. All right? So it's a joke. It is an order that nobody takes. Look, we've had this thing that they say that, government officials should not travel first class. With all due respect, in the civilized countries or the advanced countries that we go to borrow money from, they don't allow government officials to fly business class. You know how much a business class costs? The average business class that you can get now is about $3,000 to $4,000 per person. And then they travel with their staff, chief directors, and all those people. Plus, they give them hotel accommodation and per diem. I've had the privilege to travel on an international paid trip by the USID. You remember when we were doing the PDS thing? They took us to India. When we were going, the day before, it was made to us to understand that nobody is flying business class. The Ghanaian officials, because USID said the United States Department does not allow any government official to fly business class. Ghanaian officials were upset, angry. Members of parliament, chief executives of utility companies. When we got to Kotoka Airport the next day, believe me, they have been bought business class tickets. The white lady who was leading us sat next to me in an economy and asked me, Kofi, are you guys serious? You are coming to Access to give you $540 million and you want to fly business class? I don't know what is wrong with you people. So time has come. Let's hold the exchequer or the finance minister accountable and responsible that we cannot continue misspending our monies. Because if not, he will come back every time to come and ask us to pay for more. Why are we doing this to ourselves? We should run the economy. We should not ruin the economy.
It's Workers' Day. We've been talking to some people just on the AM show that ended a while ago about what their state as Ghanaian workers is, and they don't seem excited. They talk about very little pay they have to take home at the end of the month. They talk about the economic conditions conditions that are draining them. What will your message be to Ghanaian workers today as we commemorate workers and localize the event, looking at what exactly we can do to make workers better in the country?
What I will ask Ghanaian workers to do is keep working and keep working hard. I'll ask Ghanaian workers also to be vigilant. I'll ask Ghanaian workers also to stop wasting electricity and power. I will ask Ghanaian workers that we all need to contribute. We all need to make sure that we are contributing our share of the matters that bothers Ghana. You cannot be a worker who doesn't go to work or goes to work and pretend you are working and you expect the government to pay you. This is the problem. Ghanaians, look, with all due respect, how many holidays do we have in Ghana? Do you know in the United States of America, which is one of the strongest economies as we speak, they don't even recognize the day that we thing is so important to us, which is called Boxing Day. That is the 26th of December. If you ask any American, what is Boxing Day? They will ask you, what are you talking about? How many holidays do we have in Ghana? That is one of our main challenges. Productivity is very, very low. When I was a kid in Accra, Tema was an industrial enclave. Tema had workers working 24 hours. The buses would pick them from Circle and take them to Tema, to their various industries. Now, I'm asking you, you are the media, go and do a research. Go and see how many companies in Ghana work 24 hours. But in other jurisdictions, where we take our palm in our hand and go and work, people work 24 hours around the clock. Why can't we do the same in Ghana?
I appreciate your time here this morning, Kofi Capito, giving workers something to reflect on today as we commemorate Workers' Day. He is the Executive Director of the Consumer Protection Agency. Now,